Education Center, home to 200 acres of pristine swampland, forest, and wetland habitats. Here I'm with Ben Abercrombie, who is in charge of Playcard. Could you tell us a little bit about what Playcard is?
Yes, ma'am, be glad to. 27 years ago, the gentleman back here behind me in this picture, Mr. James P. Blanton, came. He was sitting in a meeting one day, and he sat down and he drew an idea on a napkin. He said he wanted to come up with an environmental education center that combined the community with the school system and the college, and he wanted to create a partnership that would last for years and teach people about the outdoors and nature. And all these children and thousands of people that have come through here since then are the benefit of his vision. He brought together business members from the community. He brought together educators from the community, people from all walks of life. They created the Horry County Conservation Foundation. And that foundation came together in about 1984 to 85. They started acquiring land. And when they started acquiring land, it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the next thing you know, there was a partnership developed with the Horry County Schools, who provided a teacher out here, which would be my job. I'd be the teacher. And your job as a teacher would be to coordinate special events and also work with the kids and do many different, wear many hats. Over the time, we had, literally and figuratively, over the time, it has developed into a great partnership with Coastal Carolina University as well. Because just like yourself, you're a college intern and you get a chance to get credit through the science department, through the health promotion departments. There's all kind of departments that come out here. Education department has come out here over the years. Many departments from Coastal have used Playcard as an outdoor laboratory. And what they do is that exposes you young folks to even younger folks to kind of get the vision that maybe you want to go into education, maybe you want to do something to help the kids and the community and help nature somehow. So it gives the kids a chance to be one-on-one on their own terms, hands-on in nature, outdoors. And we've got some of the largest biodiversity in the area. That means we have some of the greatest habitat species diversification of anywhere else in Horry County. We've got three basic habitats here. We've got a bottomland hardwood forest, we've got a beaver pond swamp, and we have a upland field system, which is an overgrown field that is going fallow now, and it's allowing a lot of species such as dove to come in and colonize it. So it allows a wonderful opportunity to many people to see all the habitat diversity that this county has to offer into the coastal region of South Carolina. So it's an interesting place to many walks of life. Now, and you would probably find out, what you would ask me, well, what does a normal day look like when you come out here? Well, when the kids come off the bus, they get here usually about 9 o'clock in the morning. And when they hop off the bus, they're raring to go. And they come in here and they see all of this wildlife that we have behind us. Well, this has been donated to us over the years. We've got about $60,000 to $70,000 worth of wildlife mounts, and it represents about 70% of the species bigger than your hand in Horry County. That means we've got the fish, we've got the mammals, we've got the birds, we've got a lot of the invertebrates, everything, and there's examples that the kids can learn from. We've definitely got the snakes. That's one of the highlights the kids like to learn about. We've got a live alligator, and they get to touch that. So when they get to come in here, they get to be hands-on with wildlife. And it's interesting to see them have that breakthrough moment where I don't want to touch that. But when they touch it, they go, ooh, that's not as scary as I thought. And this is interesting. And that's what you get to see as the teacher out here and as the interns. You get to learn that special ooh moment. That's some of the greatest powerful education experience you have, that ooh education. So that would be how they would start their day. Now a lot of the kids after that, they will either get iPads and they will go outside along with clipboards. They have maps on them, and they go outside and they document wildlife and nature on their own terms. They'll go in teams of 2 to 4 students, and they'll go all around the trails and they'll document what's there to their best of their ability. They don't know every name, we don't expect them to. But hey, if they know the difference between a pine tree and an oak tree, we've done our job by the time they leave here, especially if they're a young child. Okay? Now as they get older, like say 4th and 5th grade, they can do programs such as overnights. Okay, once they get to that age, they get just a little bit of that homesick stage, and they can go out in these woods and they can challenge your comfort zones of many fears. Learn how to work as a team with each other, as well as nature and all of its benefits. They face 3 basic fears at camp. They face the fear of the dark when they do the courage walk. A simulated alone experience. It's not actually alone, but it feels like it to them. It's a big deal for a 10-year-old. Through a section of the swamp, and then they meet back at the campfire, and that makes them feel 10 feet tall. Okay, and then they face their fear of obviously wildlife. A lot of kids, if they never camped, they hear that 3,000-pound squirrel behind their tent teepee at night when they're sleeping in full-size teepee. that may just be a little stick breaking, and all of a sudden it sounds like Bigfoot walking through the woods. Your next thing you know, bam, what's that out there? And then they'll face their fear of that, and they overcome it. In the morning, they feel great about it. And they also, they face their fear of the water. A lot of people can't swim, so they go in black water kayaks. And they learn about the swamp being some of the most pristine habitat in the county. And without swamps, we would have a lot more issues with our water quality, because that's why we protect it. So they get to learn in nature. It's almost like learning in a beautiful Renaissance painting. It's gorgeous out here. It's beautiful. And it's just an honor to be able to teach there. So there's a lot of things we do throughout the year with kids that are very unique, and it's because of the visionary who's sitting right back here in this painting. He's an interesting person.
Awesome. So is there any other special things that you do during the year, maybe that involves the community?
Yes, we do. 2 events stand out. Swamp Fest is our first Saturday in November every year. That is a free event open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have about 200 volunteers that help on that event. And they come out and they like to teach about everything from wildlife, the outdoors, anything dealing with farming, agriculture. They do some crazy fun stuff like riding a mechanical bull. That's a possibility out here that day. We've got some horseback riding, hay rides, all the fun country festival things. We've got festival foods available that day. But the admission charge for that event is free. And it's a give back. It's a thank you to the community that allows everybody to be partners out here. We have over 200 vendors and volunteers that help make that possible. And Horry County Schools and Coastal Carolina University obviously are the 2 that make that thing go. And everything flows from that source. And we just are lucky to live in such a rich, diverse area with so many accesses to good things near the coast. Everybody from Ripley's Aquarium to Alligator Adventure, DHEC comes out. They even come out and do something. We've got all kinds of folks that do things. Solid Waste Authority comes out, Horry County Solid Waste. Just so many different resources come out here to give back for free that day and help the kids learn about different things. Now the second event is similar to Swamp Fest, but it's kind of themed a little bit differently would be the Baby Animal Day. That'd be in the spring. That's when we're teaching about the developmental cycles of animals to pre-kindergartners all the way through first graders. We also have a lot of special needs kids that come out that day, and they really get a kick out of it, and we do too. We've had about 1,000 people total here at the event this year, and it was just fantastic. And we appreciate your support for that too. You're a go-getter, and you like to be a spark plug and bring people in, and that's the kind of interns we're looking for, people that can bring in other resources and people to get them involved. We appreciate that. Because here, it's not about taking, it's about giving. We're a non-profit organization. So that means everything we give goes 100% back to the kids. Everything goes back to them. And that makes it to where you really get good people out here, because it all comes from here. And that's the power of Playcard. It's interesting. There are 2 other small events that we do. They're called Starry Nights. We have about 30 to 40 people there. Dr. Louis Rubo, who's an astronomer at Coastal Carolina University, he brings the astronomy club out, and we get all of their telescopes from Coastal, and they've got quite a few. And we do a big tour of the night sky, and that's another event too. So every year we add something new, we do something different, we do a new outreach program. This year you've done a great job with our community storm cleanup from the ice we had this year. So just anything we can do to get the community together, out of the digital world, into the real world, hands-on. You can integrate the digital world somewhat, but get them involved with each other, communicate with each other. Be a big kid, learn about nature. That's what we do.
Now you mentioned technology and stuff like that. Obviously, being out here, you've got 200 acres. Mm-hmm. It's getting kids away from the computers, the TVs, the Xboxes, the PlayStations.
Exactly.
Get them to be one with nature, right?
Everybody now this is nature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is how I communicate. I look at a device and I'm communicating now. That's what I do, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You've got to have a balance. This is fine, but you also have to realize where the off button is. And sometimes when you cut this off, you cut nature on, and you've got to learn there's a balance there, and that's what we teach about. And it's very important that we do that. We integrate digital technology like all classrooms do now, but our key is still getting your hands dirty and your feet wet, because that's where everything starts. That's the wonder of nature. That ooh moment, I never knew that. That comes from the real world. That's where you learn that stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, if you're ready to get started, how about we take a walk over into the classroom and see what we do over there?
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
All right.
All right, so here we are in the classroom. Ben, briefly, what exactly is that you do here in the classroom? You say once the kids get here from the bus, you send them in here. What happens from there?
Well, everything we do at Playcard revolves around the circle, the power of the circle. And we use the circle of life as our model, okay? So when the kids enter the classroom, they're allowed to explore for about 5 minutes. And then we form a community circle. And from that community circle, there is no head or tail of the circle. There's only everybody equal. And that's why we teach like that. We actually go around each area of the classroom and we speak about the different animals that you'll see. For example, behind the camera here, you will see the mammal corner. Okay, we've got everything from black bear to coyote, to fox squirrels, to gray squirrels, bobcats, deer, just all kinds of different things. You name it, we've got it. From there, what we do is we break it down to curriculum level. For example, let's say kindergartner comes here. They need to learn about sensing science, and they are first building their schema. They're first, well, what about the world am I learning about this? What's important about this? And they actually learn about how to use their senses to do their sense of smell, touch, everything but taste. We don't emphasize taste as much, but we emphasize everything else. Obviously sight, how to walk in the woods like an animal would, how not to disturb nature. All those things are emphasized in kindergarten. And from first grade, we do plants, we do botany, we do about all the animals that are positive to the environment, all positive to you, plants that you should avoid in case, like poison ivy, things like that. Common sense things. And then second grade, we do wildlife, we jump back into wildlife, we kind of go back and forth in our curriculum. Each level, we build a little bit more information on the last. Every single class is taught a few basic things, and other than that, they're broken into different ideas. They're broken into different ideas and they're added on like layers of an onion. That's what we do. Okay, now around this classroom, we've got some hands-on things as well. We've got some snakes, some live snakes that actually we bring out, and in that circle, we have the interns or myself or the teacher are allowed to take that around and let the kids pet that snake, actually touch that snake. So we teach them to respect those snakes when they see them outside. So many people have the idea about a snake, they just want to kill it. It's a reflex, and that usually comes from fear. That's a deep-seated emotion in them. And they're not thinking, they're not using their rationality, they're just using their emotion to think. And we teach them and say, oh, wait a minute, take a minute. That snake means something. It's there for a reason. Nature's there. Everything has its place in nature, and it's important. Not one thing is more important than another. So what we teach about snakes is real simple. If you see it, you freeze, you back away slow, and you tell an adult not to kill the snake. Unless, let's say, you're going to want to eat it or do something like that. Of course, we would show them how to do that, obviously, and we would not expect anybody to catch or eat a snake. That keeps them from automatically grabbing everything they see, and believe me, they will do that. Well, they will do what they see mostly on TV, and that's sensationalist biology, we call that. So we try to give them respectful biology instead of sensational biology. We give them a common sense approach. That's what we do there. We also get out an alligator. Okay, our alligator was traded to us by Alligator Adventure. Her name is Alice. She's about a 2-year-old gator. We get her out, either the teacher or one of the interns or myself will take it around and let the kids touch that too. Because that's like touching a modern day dinosaur. They're touching an animal that hasn't changed in over millions of years, and that's a very powerful thing. It's kind of primal in us to be able to get face to face with that animal. A lot of people scare that animal. My wife is petrified of alligators. Anytime we go near the water, where's the gator? Where's the gator? And me, I know them, I understand them, and I've been used to them, been around them my whole life, so they don't bother me. It's just exposure to things that you may not have much experience about. And how do you approach it? Maybe not to feed the gator. A lot of people feed a gator. They might bite them because they associate them with food, because you don't know that. Maybe they walk their little bitty dog around the pond. That's like taking a little steak or a little after dinner mint and trying to offer it to you after you're even full. You may still want to bite of that after dinner mint. That little dog looks like a little after dinner mint to a big alligator. So be aware of that kind of thing. It's just common sense. Common sense that you need to approach the outdoors with. So we do that. We do a little bit of first aid, basic stuff, nothing major. What to do if you get a bee sting or a fire ant bite, which is far more likely than a snake bite in any environment. Okay, and then from there we will break it apart into whatever lesson it is, be it habitats in 4th grade, animal adaptations in 3rd grade, 5th grade ecosystems. It goes on and on and on and on and on like that onion. It just keeps building out, and it builds on more and more and more data. And then you're basically putting that into their little memory banks, so hopefully they can make a connection outside that's real. And then from there, they have the ability to go in small groups at a certain age. After 4th grade, they literally go on their own in these woods. And a lot of people would just freak if they first said that. Oh my gosh, you're letting them go. Look, These woods are safer for a child if they are together with their teammates, as long as they follow those basic rules with the snake and other things, than anywhere else in the world they could be. Because believe me, this is the safest place. It's safer than being on a city street. Okay, one of the most dangerous things they do, we talk about, is get in a car every day. Is that scary to you? Well, not really. It's because you're used to it. So out here, it's a perception of a reality, and they're trying to get over that fear, and it breaks them through that. Then they just go, and then they literally attack the wilderness, and they learn with all their senses. And they learn because they're on their own terms. I'm not leading them around by the nose, trying to show them around like an adult learns, because the kid doesn't learn like an adult. The kid learns by playing, by putting their hands on things, by learning and listening and touching and feeling things. That's what they do. And as long as they know what to touch and what to feel and how to approach things and how to attract an animal, how to sneak up on them, then they can become part of the nature, part of the wilderness. So that's what we do. And it's a very exciting place to be able to do that.
I think we're good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I just kind of wanted to put a pause there, whatever, because it's just basically, like I said, from there it's just you talking, and then that's just going to be that segment.
Mm-hmm.
So just the classroom segment is just you kind of discussing.
Okay. Do you want to show a little bit of the gator, a little bit of a snake or anything?
I actually have an extended clip of you taking the gator out and walking it around and letting some of the kids touch it. And I think I had 2 girls that particular day that I was doing that were scared shitless to touch
Were
the
they?
gator. So,
Scared to death.
yeah, so it kind of works out. So I've got a
good.
variety of different stuff from various classes or whatever. All right, so Ben, once the kids are sent out from the classroom, they're obviously debriefed there. What happens when they're gone? Once they start heading into the woods?
Okay. When they leave the woods, depending on the grade level, they go out and they try to achieve some sort of objective. They go out when they're younger. They go with the parents from pre-K all the way to first grade. And they will go out around the series of trail areas that are designated by markers. They get them, that's the where am I going? And then we follow a scripted sheet, what am I doing? And they go with their parent as their teacher fill-in for the day. And they get to go from place to place around the trails doing science activities, and in between those activities they do teamwork activities. And we have a lot of fun too. They get to swing on ropes, and they get to crawl through things. They get to do the old-fashioned leapfrog like we did growing up. A lot of people, like if you tell a little kid now do leapfrog, they'll try to grab their iPad and they'll say, "Oh, here's leapfrog." You know, leapfrog. When we were growing up, you played the game, and it's just a different world. So you have to bring them back to that world that we grew up in, and that's part of what we do. And then when they get older, they get like first grade's botany. We concentrate on plants and things of that nature. Everybody gets to catch creatures out here. You know, it's a universal fun thing to do, exploration. Then when they get a little bit older, second and third grade, you're working more with animals, wildlife, and adaptations at that point. And those 2 grade levels work very hard on that type of scenario. So we start that classroom with the museum and all the animals, and they go out and they have to find creatures in the wild. And then as they get older, say 4th and 5th grade, they have to classify those creatures by the food chains in 4th grade and then the food webs in 5th grade. Because 4th grade is about habitats. It takes in, what is a habitat? Why is the forest habitat different than the field, different than the swamp? And then ecosystems is 5th grade. 5th grade, they get to go out and go into each one of the ecosystems and talk about the big picture. Now, how does Playcard fit in to the ecosystem? How do you fit into the ecosystem? How can we fit better into the ecosystem? And that's what we do. So when we leave the building, it's some sort of outdoor, hands-on educational activity, be it with parents as chaperones, or as they get a little bit older and they have a lot more trust without and on their own. And that's what they crave, is the ability to go without us constantly on top of them, flapping our gums about what they should learn. It's about them taking that next step and having that little ooh factor. Picking up that little salamander and bringing it to us. What's this? Grabbing that lizard. What's this? Talking about things that they actually can touch, feel, see, experience on their own. And other than that, it's about being a big fun kid with them, being a big role model, saying, hey, you can have fun and learn at the same time. So that's what they do. And then when they come back, they may have their iPads when they get a little bit older. They may come back and they'll show you all the stuff they found on their iPads. They may show you on their clipboards things that they wrote down. They may write a letter after they leave and they come back. They write a thank you letter describing their experience. Those old simple values of thank you and please and all that are enforced in each group. The biggest thing is, if I had one word to describe what they do when they leave the classroom every single day, it's explore. They teach us. They lead us. They bring that enthusiasm to the classroom every single time. Because as a teacher, your job is not only to teach, Your job is to learn. And the kids are what teach you to be a big kid again. And that's the important part of it. So that's what they do. They bring that enthusiasm back to their parents, their teachers, their classroom, their community. That's what they do when they leave.
Overnight camps are a great opportunity for kids to actually be able to come out and enjoy the nature and the outdoors, you know, for a full evening, to understand what it's like to actually be one with nature. Here with Ben again. Ben, if you would, can you tell us just a little bit about what goes on during these lovely overnight camps?
Yes, ma'am. What we do in the overnight camps is when the kids get off the bus, there's two basic things for camp. We have teamwork makes the dream work, obviously, and then we have science. And we also we throw in a few survival skills and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Kids get to learn how to work in teams by doing low ropes course elements. They also get to come out and obviously they learn about nature, get their hands on the snakes and the alligator and all that, like all the other classes do. But then we extend into the teamwork aspect of it a lot. We go more and more and more into letting the kids work as a team, playing games, doing activities that build up their self-esteem, talk about the full value contract. You know, everybody works as a team with each other in the environment, take care of each other's needs, physical safety, emotional safety, working within their comfort zone or expanding that comfort zone out, facing their fears, all that stuff. And then from there, we work our way through the woods doing low ropes course activities, and then we work our way into the campsite area. After lunch, we usually set up camp, and that includes cooking meals over the campfire, teaching them how to build a fire. Then after we do all that and everything's set up and the camp's ready and laid out and all the tents are out and the teepees are set, we go kayaking. And obviously kayaking is a big teamwork activity, because if you're in the front of the boat, I'm in the back of the boat, and we're all paddling on the same size, what happens? We go into a
big circle.
And that's kind of what we do in life. If we're all fighting and we're going against each other, we tend to chase our tail around in circles constantly. And we talk about progress. How do you get progress? You have to work together. Maybe you work your side of the boat, we work our side of the boat, go forward, and you know, attain a goal, that type of thing. And we bring in all kinds of different subjects when it comes to teamwork and good examples that we can follow. And it's just really interesting to see that dynamic develop within a group of kids. They're really fun, and it's neat to see what adults do in a big way in the kid level, and it all happens so quickly and dynamically with them. So that's what we do. And then after we do kayaking, we set up, when we come back up here, we cook over the campfire hobo meals, or we do hot dogs. And then later on in the evening, they actually get an opportunity to play. We do what's called the courage walk. And that's where they walk down a section of the trail alone at dark. We ask them, okay, who's afraid of the dark? And a lot of them will raise their hand. It can be as dark as the inside of a cow out here. When there's no moon, it's completely pitch black. You know that. And the kids they're really spooked about going on the trails and everything. Like, I want to go home. I don't know about this. And they're all jittery. You know, I want to go to bed. And you know that, well, as I do, they don't want to go to bed. They're excited. So we tell them, okay, everybody's going. We all go. We get together. We have the adults hide along the trail in hidden positions. Their job is not to scare them. Their job is to be a safety observer. And we send them back to camp one by one down a certain section of the trail in the dark, alone, no flashlight. And of course, we all walk the trail on the way out, so we know there's no hazards, there's no critters on the trail that are going to bother them. It's our big safety check, and they come back one by one. And that makes them feel 10 feet tall. And that leads right into the big story, which is the ghost story. And we won't go into major detail, but there is a ghost at Playcard apparently, and it comes to see every camp. Every camp has got a good ghost story, and we're no exception. And then from the ghost story, we cook s'mores. We may play capture the flag with the older kids. We might do pottery or Native American beads with the younger kids. We might do dream catchers or something like that. And then we just cozy in around the fire, and everybody shares, campfire time until nighttime. And then they all, brush their teeth and hit the hay. And then we listen to the 3,000-pound squirrels run around the woods all over Playcard all night long, and all the kids woke up and they go, I hardly slept a week because I can hear animals all in the woods. And we try to break them in by telling them, just keep your fears, calm yourself, you're good. And then they're good the next morning. And then by about 3 or 4, they usually start to really go to bed, and it gets really quiet about 4 in the morning. And then for a couple hours, you get some good sleep. And then about 6, we get up and we start rolling again. So next day, eat breakfast, zip line, Then we have some more different specials, we call it, either archery, or they go in the woods to do survival skills, things of that nature, botany, whatever we do. And then they basically pack up from there, and the next day they go home. And it's just a ball. It's 2 days of all energy, all fun, and it's a huge rush when they come, and it's a great couple of days. And then when they go home, that's the quietest bus ride back to school, because they're just completely asleep, and they're all just laid there, like this on the seats going back. So it's a great trip. It's fun.
Team building is a big activity here at Playcard. One of the things that we really elaborate on is the chance for students to actually be able to have the opportunity to not only to be comfortable with themselves, but to be comfortable with the group of kids that they're actually with while they're here. Ben, can you talk a little bit more about team building and some of the team building activities that you do here?
Yes, ma'am. The key to every program at Playcard is that we work within teams. That gets students out of their little ego zone into their eco zone, we call it. So as soon as they come off the bus, everything centers around breaking down barriers with each other, from starting out with a game as simple as like blob tag outside, where you go out there and you have one child that's selected to be the blob, and as they touch somebody, like if I was touching you on your arm, you and I would hold hands, and then we would do the blob, and we get bigger and bigger and bigger. That is one of the games that we do, and usually what you'll see from a game like that right off the bat is you'll see people trying to do their own thing, making their own little plans, and you bring the groups back together from there, and you start to build community by talking about communication, talking about what's more important, to listen to the group or to be dominating in the group, what's better, to be a leader, to be a boss, is it okay, when's it okay to be either one. We talk about a lot of that stuff. Just bring that one little game out there. So that's our little pre-game that we use to kind of get them warmed up to think about teamwork a little bit. Because a lot of kids will say, hey, I know about teamwork. We did teamwork well. And you ask them, well, what does that mean? And they'll just kind of stare at you. And they have no idea what teamwork means any more than most people do. They'll just say, well, it's just a word, and they don't think about it. Well, teamwork works your life skills. Okay, it starts with communication, trust. All of these factors that you're taught every day from kindergarten up in school, it reinforces those things, and and it puts them to the test. From there, what we do is we usually do some type of initiative game or initiative challenge. Initiative challenges will be a problem-solving exercise where the kids are given a goal, a set of safety rules, and they have to solve the problem within their own team. An example of that would be maybe they have to swing across a rope swing in the proper fashion while carrying a bucket of water that we say if they drop it, it will be volatile, and that it will make the whole team start over. We have that, swinging, that would be the swinging bucket. We've got the multi-swing. We've got the spider web challenge, where they've got a giant spider web they have to negotiate, go from point A to point B through. They're only allowed to use each individual hole one time. We do that. We've got a challenge called Islands of Adventure, where you've got 3 sets of boards where you have to go from point A to point B using only 2 other boards, and they've got to come up with a way to go from that point to the last point without falling off or dropping a board or letting it touch the ground or anything like that. And a set of penalties is usually imposed on the group, where if they meet or exceed that maximum number of penalties, they have to start the activity over. And between each activity, the key to this is you brief the activity, you tell them about the activity and what the goals are. You do the activity, and then you debrief it. Okay, so that means when you debrief, you talk about, so what did we do, explain the activity. Now, so what, and now what do you think about that? Okay, so you process that, and you go, now what? Okay, and you go, okay, what, so what, now what? Now what are we going to do with that activity's lessons? What are we going to do with the person that was out here kind of cutting out when everybody else was, being a little more serious about the activity? What are we going to do in class? How's that going to affect your group? Does that translate back to class? So we don't just leave the experience at Playcard, we relate it back to their class or their real world experiences, and use the project adventure model or the teamwork model to better their experience throughout the rest of the school year. So it just doesn't stay here at Playcard, it's something that you can use as a stump to build upon, to be a team in your classroom and in your community. We teach a lot about citizenship. Each group needs to do some type of activity to help Playcard. Recently we had the ice storm damage, for example. Well, each group comes out and helps do that, clean up some damage, or they'll try to help clean a trail, or they'll try to do something to better the area, because they're thinking selflessly at that point. And as you start the day, from the beginning of the day, off the bus, you get to see a little egocentric kid just ready to run around and have fun just for them. And by the time you get that teamwork developed, by the end of that first day, you're starting to see kids going, can I help you? What do you need from me? Can I do this? And they're coming to you and they're offering initiative at that point. And that shows leadership. So we talk about initiatives, all these things that are just the glue that keeps a team focused and performing at a top level, we talk about. And now if we have a group of kids, not every group's going to do that. A lot of kids will come off the bus, they'll work great for a couple of things, and then maybe they'll get hot or they'll get tired or they've got any number of issues going on behind the scenes, and you got to read that. And well, if you have that happen, you talk about, well, it's always too something in the world. It's either too hot, too cold, it's too long, there's too, all of your goals are going to have challenges. So we talk about how can you make every challenge in your life kind of like a game. Make it into something that is fun for you, turn it into a work into pleasure, and then you will actually feel like you feel better at the end of the day when you've accomplished something. So, we just try to give them some motivation, basic teamwork concepts, and start them down the road to path to good citizenship, and that's what we do. And speaking ecocentrically instead of egocentrically, example of that would be if I see a piece of litter, I'm going to be accountable for that, even though I didn't throw it down. Okay, it's not about me throwing it down. I'm thinking about me. I'm thinking about, hey, how's that litter going to affect the environment? And I pick that litter up and I recycle that because I care about the environment more than I care about my little bit of energy it takes for me to pick it up. So it takes me thinking about me and how it affects me versus how does it affect everything else. So you're getting the child to think holistically about their group, about their teachers, about their community, and that is the key behind the teamwork mission. Everything from this swamp ferry where they got to get on here and they've got to figure out how to go from point A to point B, to the kayaking, they've got to work together. The cooking, we actually give them, with the proper safety procedures, knives and cutting utensils. If they're responsible students and they're picked to be leaders, they go through there and they actually cut their own vegetables. A lot of things that will be highly protected from in the real, the school world, they could do a lot of that out here. And we allow them to learn that, because if you, all you do is you insulate a child in a little cocoon of safety, and you don't give them that little safe window where they can kind of expand their little comfort zone just a little bit there and take a little bit of a risk, then your child's not going to grow. And in order to grow, you have to take a safe risk with them. You've got to trust that time out on the water with them. They may not be able to swim, but you've got to trust them to do that. You've got to go beyond your personality as a parent and a teacher to trust that child to actually take that educational step to the next level. And that's what teamwork is about. It took a lot of years for me to understand that. It took a lot of micromanagement, and I'm still a big micromanagement. You probably understand that, working with little kids. But you've got to realize that kid, you can only take them so far. It's like a coach. You're not on the field playing for them in life, but you can give them the tools you want to see them succeed with, and then let them have that. But they can always come back to you for help or anything like that. And that's what we talk about their kids in their community. You say, do you struggle in math? Do you struggle in science? Do you struggle in English? Whatever your subject is you're having trouble with. If you do, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's a lot of kids out there, they may be the biggest, baddest kid in the class, but a lot of times that superiority comes from a little bit of inferiority inside there. They're scared of something. And that teamwork model can bring that out. And those kids can go, hey, well, wait a minute, we're all equal here. We can really talk to each other, and now we can bring that out, and maybe we can level the playing field at Playcard.
Speaking of team building activities, ziplining is one of the biggest team building activities that we have here at Playcard. Everything from the older groups, the high schoolers that'll come out, to even the overnight camps. Ziplining is really good not only for self-esteem, self-confidence, but being able to understand your teammates, your classmates a little bit better, being able to put kind of your life in their hands as well as your own, from having to actually climb up the tree to get all the way up to the top. Not only is that your own physical strength with having to not only climb a 30-foot ladder, but climbing a bunch of rungs to get all the way up to the rest of the way. You're up 50 feet in the air, you don't realize it until the last minute, but then also having to rely on teammates who's on the belay team who are actually there to help you lift up and get up to that platform. You've got to be okay with them having that opportunity in case you happen to fall. They'll be there to catch you. If you're not comfortable enough with them, you're not comfortable enough with yourself. By the time you actually get up onto the top of the zip line and you're ready to zip, everybody just feels so much more confident, because it's something new for a lot of people, especially if you have a lot of height issues, you're afraid of heights, things like that. But once they head across that zip line, it's just a whole nother ball game. And then from there, at the very end, you actually have your catching team as well. You have to rely on your catching team in order to be able to catch you at the end of the day and be able to safely unhook you from the zip line and be able to get you down. So no matter what, with zip lining, there is so much involved, and it's more a physical, a mental, and emotional adrenaline that you get from it. Let's take a look at the Socastee High School ROTC unit as they enjoy their time on the zip line.
I want one harness per pair of people. We will not have enough to go around, so we're going to have to share. When you use your helmets, okay, these things have wheels on them. Okay, when you put them on, you're going to roll them to the back to tighten them. Okay, so they don't move. If they're loose, if you did that, they'd move all over the place. So that's tight enough there. That's your hat band. And then to do your chin strap, just tight enough to where you can talk. That's what you want. You step in your harness, right foot, left foot.
Right foot first.
No twist in your waist belt,
Right
no twist in
foot
your leg
first.
loose.
He said, let's do it
All right,
right.
step in.
Let's go. Take it. Yeah, you can do it. Right behind.
Game set up. Game set up. Higher power. Mahalo.
He's so scared. All right.
Okay, yes.
I have like
Feel some tension in it, okay? You might give him a little bit of a...
Oh my god.
Are you gonna? No, he said no. Got this, dog.
I don't want anybody to cheer me on. That was a...
On belay Dakota.
3, 2, 1,
Right there, you don't think...
Somebody catch me. There's gonna be.
Go up. Pull. All right. Go up just a little bit more. Okay. Try to turn around so I can get the hook. Can you?
I hope she got that on videotape.
Don't worry about.
I'm going on YouTube soon.
Hey, are you ready?
Got the rope.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
I can get it. Just a minute to get down.
Out of the camera!
Even your children?
3, 2, 1! Let's go,
Zip line.
With the amount of diverse features and habitats that Playcard has to offer, there's a variety of opportunities to be able to learn a little bit about survival skills. Everything from what you can and cannot eat to what you can use to create shelter at the end of the night. Ben actually had the opportunity to work with a group of high school students from Soxty High and gave them a little one-on-one on survival skills. Let's listen in to what Ben has to say.
Snakeberry, because if you get one and you pick it, it looks like a little snake has bitten 2 holes in the top of it. It's only one of 2 berries in the world that has got attachment points for flowers, 2 attachment points for a flower, one here, and then 1 attachment point for the stem. You can eat that. You can eat that if you want to. These are edible. Now make sure that they got 2 attachment points and not 1, because if they've got 1, it's like X-lax, like 6 X-lax. These here are not. Holly berries look almost identical to those. Holly berries are the X-lax. Pokeberry, all right, this is called American Beauty Berry in the book. If you look, they used to make what's called a poke salad in the spring. You can eat the leaves, but you cannot eat these berries. You'll only eat them once because they're poisonous. Okay, so don't eat them. They're really pretty, but they're poisonous to humans. And if you'll look,
If you eat them?
under here, there's an orchard spider. It's a relative of the black widow. You see that? She's a relative of the black widow. She's got a little orange spot right on her belly. You see, that's called an orchard spider. See her? She's really small. That's an orchard spider. But she's got that little orange spot on it, kind of like a black widow's got a red spot. It's pretty neat. Everybody just kind of squat down low so you can see it.
What is that?
All right, you cannot eat this one. This is what they call a saprophytic. Saprophytic means it lives on the juices of another plant. It's a parasitic plant, comes up pink, turns kind of whitish. What it's called is Indian pipe. See how it looks like a long peace pipe? So it's a plant with no chlorophyll that lives on the roots of other trees. That's why it doesn't need chlorophyll, because it's parasitic. It's pretty cool. This is a good survival food, but you want to cook them because they got parasites in them. Well, a lot of people don't realize about worms are they're from Europe and Asia. They are not from North America. When Christopher Columbus set foot in America, he did not find earthworms that were brought in by our farmers. They were actually brought in there. They're a species from another country. Look at this. This is the girl side right here near the head, and this is the boy side on the tail. So they're both. They're hermaphroditic. Okay, so if you look here, that's the egg band. That'll come off like a little donut, and that's got thousands of eggs in it. Pretty cool. This is called sweet bay or horse sugar. Our soldiers used to, in the Revolutionary and Civil Wars, used to feed it to their horses because they didn't want to get in the field to get ambushed. What you do is you fold it down the middle, and you would taste photosynthesis. It releases the sugar from it when you do this. Put your tongue on it. It tastes just like sweet tarts. Tastes exactly like a sweet tart.
Let me eat one.
It's pretty neat. Now you don't want to eat it, you just taste it. Put your tongue on it. It's pretty neat. I'll show you where it comes from. That's sweet gum, where those little spiky balls come from. They're using that sap to fight breast cancer now. It's pretty cool. Trunk, if you enter a wetland area, you know you've got a wetland because it's fat trunk trees. Trees actually pull their roots up because there's less oxygen in the wetland. They will push them out. And it's kind of like you kind of walking through a wet area. They kind of get a wide base. So this is obviously a wetland. And right here is normally a seat. If you feel the sand, if you're out in a survival situation, you need to get some water and find a seat like this that's got this kind of sand in it. And if you feel it, it feels like powdered sugar. So if you rub your fingers together, it's very round crystals. You feel it, it feels very smooth and very round. So what you do is you dig a hole adjacent to this a few feet, let it seep into it, filter it through your shirt, and that can be a quick source of survival water. There's another survival plant here that's right under your feet. This is called sphagnum moss, okay? You take that, it's got a natural form of iodine that's inside the plant. You take this right here and you would actually squeeze it through a t-shirt so it'd filter out all of the bacteria, not bacteria, all the sediment. And if you squeeze it, it's really wet. You see the water coming out of it? It's just got a lot of sediment. That's actually drinkable water right out of the plant. Okay, that means it's got so much iodine in it. I mean, literally something could pee right there. You could still drink this because it neutralizes the bacteria in the plant. And that stuff used to grow 50 feet tall. That's what your coal seams are made out of. That coal that we burn for energy. A lot of the whole world used to be a swamp at one time, back during that epic history. So that's one of the plants there. How you like that? Those little white grubs you see, they're like big beetle larvae. Those big white grubs, they're super juicy. They got 3 times the protein of an ounce of steak. I mean, they're really nutritious. But you gotta cook them. They taste just like a nut, like nuts. That right there is poisonous, okay? That's our most poisonous plant in the woods. It's also our state flower. It looks exactly like honeysuckle. And little kids suck on it and they can actually die from it. That's called yellow jasmine. So don't pick that. That's off a little vine.
Is this safe?
This is what they call tree hair to Native Americans. We call it Spanish moss. They say it can kill a tree in Florida. I guess they had trees that died from it. What you do with this is it's good for asthma. It's good for emphysema. You've got like a breathing ailment, you put it in your pillow, and when it releases a compound that will soothe that. It's also very good if you want to lower your blood pressure. You put it in your shoe, it releases a compound through your feet as you sweat. It can lower your blood pressure. It can lower it too much if you're on medication, so be careful. It's very powerful medicine. Red Bay and Silver Bay are similar. They have a very similar compound. If you smell this, you ever cook spaghetti and had a bay leaf in it? You know what I'm talking about? This is the same thing. It's just our natural version of it. Take it and you smell it. That's the insect repellent being released. That spice is actually insect repellent being released in your mouth. That's what makes it taste kind of that sweet taste to it. It's pretty neat.
Oh, I
So
smell
do you
it
like
already.
crush
So
it
they
and
would,
rub it on you?
what they would do is they put it in their hat, or they would make a little boil it down, make a tea out of the leaves, and put the tea on themselves. It's like making oil. Yeah, they mix it with 2 or 3 other kind of plants. That's one of them. Wax myrtle is another one they
Sounds
use.
better.
This down here is called heart leaf. This is wild ginger. If you take the heart-shaped leaf, don't pick it because it's protected. Take the edge of it, pull it off. Everything out here is in preserve, so you have to be careful. Take a little bit of it and smell it.
They have to stay inside.
It's super antioxidant. As a matter of fact, it's so antioxidant it can break a fever. It's like a medicinal plant. The root of that is just ginger. It's where you get ginger for gingerbread cookies
So if
and
you
all
were
that.
sick, could we eat it and do better?
You would be able to boil it down, make a tea, and drink it, and it will make you better. Yeah. It also thins your blood. If you got high blood sugar, it's good for high blood sugar too. All right. If you're in the woods and need to make a quick arrow shaft, you make a fire, split this down.
I'm into this.
This is red maple. Okay, you see it's always got something red on it. You got a red stem this time of year, red leaves in the fall, and you got red buds in the spring and the winter. So what you do is you split it down, and you take this part. Of course, you would want it heavier. You would want a thicker shaft than that. Put it on the fire, roll it across the heat of the flames. Take your teeth, bite it. That's like having pliers in the woods. And as it steams dry, it will actually straighten itself out, and you'll have a perfectly straight arrow shaft. They would socket a little spear point into that. They would take pine sap and mix it with the ash of the fire and the carbon from the fire charcoal, and it became Native American super glue. They would wrap it with the back tendon. Everybody feel right back here on your tendon. You feel that? Attaching your heel to your, right up here at your calf muscle. That's called sinew. Those fibers are sinew. They're twice as strong as steel. They take that from the back of a deer and they'd wrap it, and that became their arrows. That's what they did. Pretty cool. Fungus, that's called coral fungus. All right, and a lot of these little acorn caps are from old acorns. You can actually eat the seed of a white oak tree just like right off the tree. I mean, they're good to eat. They're just like any other seed or nut. You take the white oak acorn cap, and if it'll work right, if I can hold it right without blowing dirt up my nose, make a whistle out of it that you can actually, a survival whistle. You can hear that about a mile off
I want one of those.
if you're blowing it right. Hey guys, look up in that tree up there. See it? They call that a B-U-R-L, a burl. Okay, and when the Native Americans would find those, they would actually get in there, they would take the burl off if they could reach it. They cut a piece out of it and they make their bowls out of it because all the way the different structures of wood grows. It's like a big tumor to the tree, but when you cut through the edge of it, it's real pretty wood. Makes great bowls, really hard, you know, something you can eat out of. They call them burl bowls. Do what I do here. Take your hand, hold it out. I want you to lick above your wrist and rub it on the outside of your nose. Trust me, just do it. Lick it wet. If you got bug spray on, you know why it works. All right, rub the outside of your nose, get it wet. Super wet. I want you to smell the air 3 times. Now smell your other arm. Smell what you smell like. Everybody out here has a different scent, just like your fingerprints. You smell different than any other animal in the world. And as that animal smells you coming, they leave. Most other animals have wet noses because it triples your sense of smell.
Playcard also hosts 2 special events during the year, from Baby Animal Day every April to Swamp Fest every November. Ben, can you tell us a little bit more about both of these?
Yes, ma'am. Baby Animal Day is in the springtime, and it has pre-kindergarten through first graders, and we have about 850 to 1,000 people out. And we've got all kinds of volunteers and helpers that help that day, from developmental cycles of animals to environmental education topics, all the way through people like the Solid Waste Authority, teaching about how to make trash into artwork, how to recycle things, how to take care of the earth, all that stuff we do on Baby Animal Day. And they get to see lots of baby animals. This year we had goats and chickens and guineas and pigs and cows and all kinds of different things that kids could see. Even a llama. We had a llama out here that was really cool. And we had a big African tortoise. It was just a neat day. It was really fun. Now, Swamp Fest celebrates our first annual open house that we had 27 years ago. It's the first Saturday in November, and it celebrates the grand opening of Playcard that was held in 1987. We had several thousand people out here, and we had well over about 300-400 volunteers this year that helped in that event. You were a big part of that too, and you've invited a lot of people to help. It was really a good event. Anything anybody would like to come out and celebrate the outdoors or nature or environmental education, art, science, history, Native American stuff, natural history, anything that their heart desires, they could come out and do. Country living, folk remedies, you name it, they bring it out here, and we do all that outdoors with kids. And that's a free event to the public, and it is an open house. And the Baby Animal Day is only open to pre-K through first graders, and you have to pre-register. However, Swamp Fest is always free, first Saturday in November. So if it's the day after Halloween or the week of Halloween, right after on that Saturday, that's when we always have Swamp Fest. And we love to have people come out. It's just a really good time. I'm Ben Abercrombie, and welcome to Playcard Environmental Education Center's 2013 27th Annual Swamp Fest, where we had about, probably over 100 volunteers and thousands of people out here today. It's been a beautiful event. We appreciate the weather for being as pretty as it has been. We'd like to thank all the volunteers and all the Coastal Carolina University interns and volunteers and all the different people from the community that came out to help make Playcard such a special place for young people and whole families. You all stay forever wild and enjoy the experience of Swamp Fest 2000.
In conclusion to your big tour of Playcard, we would like to thank the partnership that makes Playcard work. There are three main community partners we'd like to thank. Number one, we would like to thank the Horry County Schools. They are my employer. I appreciate them for having the opportunity to touch so many lives over the years. We have had thousands of kids come through here, and every one of them is left with a smile on their face, and we appreciate that, and that's because of you. Number two, we'd like to thank the Horry County Conservation Foundation. Your hard work and efforts to donate and conserve this land for future generations will always be appreciated by everybody that comes through here. And we'd like to thank the Blanton family who set the vision for this facility and got those community members together those many years ago. We'd like to also thank Coastal Carolina University, who without them, we wouldn't be here today. They have provided the footwork and the hard work and the effort that has gone into this program to make it what it is today. Without those internships and those volunteers that we have from Coastal Carolina University, including those professors, all the way up to the president, we wouldn't be here. We appreciate all of the community members from the bottom to the top, all the way from the superintendent to the presidents, all the way down to the folks that help clean the floors. Everybody out here is a team, and we appreciate the mission and the vision that is Playcard Environmental Education Center. And just like the web of life, every strand is just as important as every other strand. And at Playcard, we're a family and a team. For Playcard Environmental Education Center, I'm Ben Abercrombie. Stay forever wild.